Currently, we're still at 30 victims. Ages range from 13 to 32. 9 victims remain at area hospitals in various conditions. 2 victims have been pronounced deceased. Our hearts and prayers continue to go out to the families, friends, this community, and our city as a whole. Our officers continue to scour the very large crime scene. We have assistance from our federal, state, and local partners. We've been on the phone with them all day. They've been providing resources, anything that they could get us to help. I ask if anyone with information, please call 911 or Metro Crime Stoppers at 866-7-LOCK-UP. At this time, I'll turn it over to Mayor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. I want to thank BPD. I want to thank Monty, all of our city agencies, our Senate President, our Councilwoman, our Council President, our federal and state partners who have been here with us. I want to reiterate what I said this morning, that this was a reckless, cowardly act of violence that has taken 2 lives and altered many, many more. And as I said earlier, we will find those who are responsible, and we will not stop until we do so. Again, this tragic incident is another glaring, unfortunate example of the deep issues of violence in Baltimore and Maryland and this country, and particularly gun violence and the access to illegal guns. This year alone, the Baltimore Police Department has seized 1,345 illegal guns that were in the hands of people that should not have them, that had them anyway because they're so easy for them to obtain. We will continue to hold those individuals who carry those weapons, who use those weapons in acts of violence like this one that we saw today, accountable, but we need accountability at every level. From those who are selling and trafficking those weapons into Baltimore from places outside of our state, to companies who manufacture guns in a way that skirt gun laws in our country, and we also need community responsibility as well. We have to be better for us as Baltimore. We need to say when we know people, especially young people, are carrying these weapons, because we have a responsibility to ourselves that goes beyond what any government agency has to us. We are asking again that anyone that knows anything about this mass shooting, and that's what I wanted to call it, it's a mass shooting. We want this shooting to be treated just as it happened in rural America. We want everyone to come forward and say, treat this as if it was your daughter, your son, your brother, your cousin that was out here shot at this event. We must come together as Baltimore and wrap our arms around this Brooklyn community and each other. But again, as I said earlier, we have to be better for ourselves. I'm going to quickly now turn it over to our Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Safety Engagement, Acting Director Stephanie Mavronis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm here today just to say my office stands in solidarity with the community in the aftermath of this horrific event. My agency, as of 12 p.m. today, has stood up a coordinated neighborhood stabilization response. In this community, we will be having a presence focused on healing resources, coordinating city agency and community-based partner presence here. We have a number of agencies that I want to say thank you for being here, and community-based partners who have expressed their willingness to step in and play a role. I want to give a special shout out to the Red Cross, who is providing water and food for some of the residents who were affected in this immediate area. We also are putting a priority in these immediate hours after this incident on mental health clinicians and response. And so we want to make sure that we're able to help facilitate the healing process for this community. As some of you may know, our coordinated neighborhood stabilization response means we'll have a presence in this community in partnership with many city agencies over the next 45 days. And so we are going to have a sustained presence here. We really appreciate the partnership from everyone so far and the community, and look forward to being here.
Mr. President, Presidents.
Just to reiterate what the mayor said, I think when we look at this from a federal, state, and local partnership, I'd like to thank all those involved who have been involved at working around the clock. What we understand and know is that this indiscriminate, callous, reckless behavior by a few causes tremendous amount of trauma to hundreds, and particularly our vulnerable adults in this community, our children. They deserve better. The one thing I'll ask, and as my heart continues to ache for not only this community, but for those who have been impacted, is for folks who have information, come forward. Don't just rely on the Baltimore Police Department and our federal partners to solve this crime. These are events that are about celebration, about coming together, that are intergenerational, and should be sacred to our communities. When a few decide to go and literally create a mass shooting, it's completely unacceptable. And I ask folks in our community to step up, whether there's your son's friends, your neighbors, folks that you know online, information that you think you might have. Please ensure that you do the right thing, particularly for the victims who have lost their lives and their families who will ever be impacted by this particular day.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Commissioner, Mr. President. First and foremost, I want to say to the families in Brooklyn, I'm sorry. You should never, ever, ever have to face something like this. This is a societal problem that we're dealing with, a mass shooting where a disagreement turns into 28 people shot. This is insanity. This cannot be the society that we are expected to live in. We have to do better. We've done what we could at the state level to try and find ways for it to be harder to get guns into people's hands, but this is the problem with too many guns in too many hands of people that make life and death decisions. It is not okay. Something has to give. This isn't how I anticipated this Sunday. For the 28 families that were directly impacted, I am so unbelievably sorry. To the hundreds that witnessed it and who will forever be changed, I'm sorry. And for the thousands and thousands of Marylanders who on this day will have to think about the mass shooting that occurred here in Baltimore, this isn't sustainable. Something has to give. I stand here as a representative of the state saying that the state is in partnership and in conversation with the governor to provide the resources necessary so that no community has to deal with what we're dealing with here today.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm infuriated. I'm angry that this is how I'm spending my Sunday on a holiday weekend. Brooklyn has forever and always been a neglected community. And this is not the time for us to forget them now. This is a time for us to come together and stand in solidarity with them and also provide the necessary resources from the local, state, and federal level. I won't stop fighting for my communities, and we cannot stop now. Thank you.
Great. We're going to start with questions. I'm going to call on folks. We're going to start with our local media, the Baltimore Sun, if you were here.
Yep. I'm wondering how many victims under the age of 18 were hurt?
How many? I'm sorry. What was the question?
Victim under age 18.
We believe it was around 14. We're still confirming ages of everyone. We have some tentative ages and dates of birth on some, so right around 14.
And I was also told that there was no police presence at this year's Brooklyn Day, unlike last year. I'm wondering if you could respond to that.
Sure. That's what we're trying to investigate. This was an unpermitted event, so our job now is to figure out when we figured out that this was occurring, what our officers did, and if we made mistakes, we'll fix them and move forward so this does not happen ever again.
Great. Go next to the banner.
Yeah. We've heard from residents that it seemed like the crime scene was not secured. They saw people walking in and out of the crime scene after it occurred, and then even folks said they saw city officials come in and sweep the crime scene, and then investigators come and put down evidence markers.
No, what happened, this was a huge crime scene. We're talking about multiple blocks. We had crime scene tape, and we did still have people walking through. We stopped people from walking in, but we also had people who lived in the area that we had to allow them to get to their houses. So officers would escort to their homes. So that may have been who you've seen. We also did, as we do with every crime, when we get some daylight, we do another canvas, and our K9 units were able to locate more shell casings. So we had to put up more crime scene tape and recover those things. And there's still, if you go over to the scene now, detectives, federal partners are still looking for evidence. And we'll continue to look for evidence until we find everything that we need to prosecute and arrest these individuals.
Go next to WBAL.
Do you all have a description of a suspect, and do you think there could be more than one?
We know for sure there is definitely more than one. We don't know exactly how many, but we do know more than one person was shooting.
All right, WJZ.
Now, I have a question about, can you tell me about the injured? So I know we had 2 dead, 28. Are they injured? Are they suffering from all gunshot wounds? are you saying maybe they tell me about the conditions of the victim?
No, what we do is we decipher whether it's a gunshot or if it's somebody that's injured from running or glass or whatever. All 30 of the victims are confirmed gunshot victims. 2 are deceased. All but 9 have been released from the area hospitals. So we still have 9 in area hospitals. A couple are still in critical condition.
WMAR?
My question is, there have been many videos circulating online about a kid pulling a gun out of a bag. Do we know if this might be a potential suspect, or is there any way that we can confirm or deny anything surrounding that video?
I've seen the video. Anyone who has a gun it's in that area is a potential suspect. So we're looking for any kind of video, and if anyone has any Ring cameras, any other video that you see that could help us, please send it to us so we can find these individuals.
And then just on that note, though, I think it's important for us to say when we talk about this incident and us needing to be better for ourselves, those videos you saw were posted by adults. When did it become okay for adults to film young people having weapons and no one say anything? We have to be better. That means that this, as you heard, this is a multi-generational event. You had young people, you had older folks, you had folks middle-aged like myself. We have to have a better level of accountability. We should not be some grown man filming some young person pull out a gun and not say something to someone. Even if you're too afraid to say something, that's a call that you make to law enforcement so they can get that information in real time, not after posting a video, not just posting a video to get likes on Instagram.
Can you talk about the assist of your federal partners? We see ATF and other agencies out here scouring the scene. How important is it for them to work with you guys?
It's extremely important. We work with them every single day. Our federal partners, if you don't see them here, they are here. Regardless of whether you see them, they're helping us constantly with investigations. I talk to members from the FBI, ATF, DEA, the marshals. The state's attorney called me. Just about everyone, the U.S. attorney called me. Just about everyone called and offered their support and whatever we needed this morning. So we are working with multiple agencies to try to figure out what happened here.
Great. We'll go to Fox 45 and then we'll open it up.
Yeah, Mayor Scott, question for you. You mentioned illegal guns on the streets. I know that is a huge concern, but with this mass shooting, is it a sign of the city's crime plan? Is it working? What could the city be doing differently?
Well, I think that to simplify an incident, what we should be talking about is the actions of people who decide to pull weapons, right? This is not about whether the police department or MONSE or our federal partners or folks who are working to reduce violence are doing their job every day. This is about people who cowardly decide to come to a celebration and shoot it up. Let's call this what it is. Let's not make this into some political dog whistle. The reality is that I could stand here today and tell you that homicides in Baltimore are down 20%. But who cares today? Because 30 people were shot and 2 are dead. The reality is we're going to work hard every day to make sure that they're reducing violence in Baltimore, regardless of who's pulling the trigger, regardless of where they come from, regardless if they're from Baltimore City, Baltimore County, Kalamazoo, Michigan. If they're in Baltimore committing crimes, we are going to be seeking them out and trying to stop them. But we have to always be reminded when you're talking about incidents like this, that these are individuals who made the choice to pull that trigger. But that choice was given to them because of the access to illegal guns. And reminds you that, again, year after year after year, when we look at where the guns, working with our fabulous federal partners, where the guns recovered in Maryland come from, most in Baltimore come from, they come from outside of Maryland. We have to deal with this issue of guns here locally. Our wonderful state partners have been helping at that, but we have to deal with it at the national level as well. We are going to continue to work to reduce violence in Baltimore every day. We're not going to be dismayed by cowards that committed this mass shooting, and we're going to continue to remove those folks off the street. And as I said earlier, I hope these folks don't sleep well, because we're not going to sleep until we pull them off.
Follow up here from Son.
Yeah, this is a question for the Miss in the Hat. You said Brooklyn is a marginalized community. Can you tell us more about the community and elaborate?
It's Councilwoman Porter, by the way.
I'm sorry.
No worries. No worries. No worries. So it is a marginalized community. We have some of the highest unemployment rates down here. We have some of the highest violent crime rates in Brooklyn proper. Brooklyn Homes, particularly, we have some of the high volume crime rates we see.
Great. We're going to open it up for folks who haven't asked questions yet. If you could just identify yourself and your outlet.
Univision Washington, do we know if this attack is a random attack or was a target attack?
All we know right now is that we had multiple victims open fire on a large crowd of people who were out during the block party. We don't know if they were targeted or if they were just shooting indiscriminately down the street or up the street.
Kelsey with WTV, and forgive me for joining late if you already answered this question. Do you believe that this is just one person who opened fire on the crowd, or any reason to believe it was more than one person?
No, we know for a fact that there was at least two. We're still investigating that there are even more.
Okay, thank you.
Haley Mylon with DC News Now. Do you have a sense of what the average age was of the folks at this party last night?
Give them the range.
Yeah, we've ranged from 13 to 32, with 14 under the age of 18.
And the victim.
Victims.
Follow-up question. That's okay. 4 victims went to the children's ER, correct?
I'm not sure what hospitals. They went to every hospital within the region because we had 29 victims transported or walked into area hospitals, and no one hospital could handle that volume.
We're going to do 2 more questions.
I think you've answered this. You asked about ring cameras and door cameras. I noticed that around the apartment complex there are cameras up on buildings. Are those cameras functioning, or you have access to them? Can you find out? I mean, obviously early in your investigation, but are you trying to find those cameras to see which is working?
Yes, we do have. Most of them are operational, and we have seen the video. That's what our detectives continue to do, because as you know, it's hours and hours of video from multiple cameras, and then we hope we get even additional video and private video.
Do you know what type of weapon was used, what type of gun?
We don't know yet. We have multiple different casings. We can only speculate, and we wouldn't do that yet because we've seen the weapon that was pulled out of the one video. We don't know if that was one of the weapons fired, so we have to analyze every one of the cases.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yesterday during the event. It's not my first time actually going to an event out here, and I've seen police randomly coming through. There was not one officer out here.
Yes, ma'am.
My child was out here.
Yes, ma'am. What happened? This was an unpermitted event. We did not know the event was occurring until sometime yesterday, and we have to look. My job is to investigate and see what our officers did once we figured out that there was a large party. And if we made mistakes, we will fix them and move forward so it never happens again. But again, we did not know that this event was occurring.
Thank you all.